So today I'm going to share some harsh truths about feature stores and feature engineering in general. And the good news is that I'm going to show you some ways to navigate those challenges that we have in the world of feature engineering. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Arul Bharati. I'm the Senior Applied Science Manager at McAfee. I have been leading ML teams and shipping personalization solutions for more than a decade. And at McAfee specifically, we have been transforming personalization using various propensity based and pricing based ML models where we provide various personalized offers to users. We intervene for the churn prevention, and various other customer lifecycle engagement initiatives. Um, to call this, I would like to call this session as the first step towards agentic ML. There is a reason that why I call this, because you would see in the upcoming slides where we are moving and what's the gap that we have in terms of feature engineering in production. So let's talk about the feature engineering problem, right? I feel most of the researchers in this, even in the year of 2026, feel modeling could be solved, but features aren't, and you will see why, right? The first thing to start with is the bottleneck. We talk about the time that we invest in feature engineering, around maybe even 60 to 70%, or in some cases 80% of the time applied science teams spend in engineering the features that they would need. And if there is a duplication or any schema drift that occurs, or any migration in terms of data set occurs, then it takes weeks for us to process those changes, to kind of test and validate those feature catalogs into the model pipelines, and check whether it breaches the thresholds of our accuracy and precision that we have in our production systems. And moving into the reality, the manual feature engineering reality that we had at McAfee, or we have at McAfee partially, is we have, let's talk about the bronze and silver layers, right? So you have these Unity catalog tables. At McAfee, in our context, we have device dimension, we have heartbeat events, we have messaging and email data, we have product feature usage, we have subscription data. So all these accumulate a lot of columns, and we would need to say, if we are designing for a 10 feature category plan. So when I say feature category, like the message engagement is one category, and the device profile is one category. They can be owning high-end devices, they can be owning basic laptops. So as per the categories that we have, we might need to run the feature engine, this entire manual process of exploration. We need to explore the schemas, we need to develop and write SQLs, we need to test functions, and then we need to validate them. We need to check for nulls, sparsity, cardinality. We need to then materialize these tables as feature stores in Databricks. So this has been the case, right? Like most of the companies, we have been doing feature engineering this way. And through this approach, we have developed around 1.5K features surrounding the customers. So both across like we call it as trial user base and retention, or the paid user base. So McAfee has both environments where we serve for both like expiry trial audience, where we have a lot of users who have the trial app installed and they're trying to convert, and you have paid group where they pay for a subscription, and whether we need to look into upselling the package, or like in some cases cross-selling some package, or enhancing their production and all those things. So this would take weeks of exploration, and in case like months of deployment, and we have to also do this parallelly, this feature ideation amidst various deliverables that we would be having. So a recent research shows us the opportunity and hope of where we need to move or take feature engineering into, right? How many here knew the Tab Arena benchmarks? Great. So for others who might be new to this, so Tab Arena is an open source benchmark where where various researchers and various like models are tested against established data sets, and they score and they kind of test their performance of each models or algorithms. There is a new paper that has been released called TAPREP this year, which showcases that automated feature engineering is so unexplored in this research space, and most of the research has been done in algorithmic optimization and hyperparameter tuning. And TAPREP just worked on some automated feature engineering, which is nothing but pure mathematics. They are not using LLMs, they are not using any context engines or agents or nothing. Pure mathematical combinations and statistical loops that creates feature augmentation. And if you could see in every other benchmark, they have showcased that they could beat the existing benchmarks in tab arena, which is I would say, in the field of feature engineering, this should be an important paper that everybody should look at. Why we get the hope and also the gap that the industry is still facing, that we need to invest a lot in more automated, not just automated, but also intelligent feature engineering. So here today, I'm going to show you how we can take our first step towards that, and hope you guys can learn and also kind of discuss more and keep this conversation going in the field of feature engineering. So when we move into agentic feature engineering, we need to have three core modules in our mind that mostly like like everyone would be aware of here when we start building multi-agent architectures. The first is the context layer, right? So this is where I think we should profile the data, we should perform schema scans, sparsity checks, entity relationship between tables, and all those things. The next is the feature miner context, right? This module is, I would say, the most important module of agentic feature engineering workflows. So you need to discover device based, temporal based, session based, behavioral based interaction between two different dimensions need to be researched or mined here. And whatnot, it's going to be really good if you try to link this in an LLM reasoning format and not just about human intuition format. So the third one is the selection and iteration. Say that you have built your context layer, you have mined for your features, but you need to select which one makes the cut, which one needs to be in production, which one needs to be pruned, or which one needs to be added to the backlog. So maybe a new use case, the marketing team could come up with a new use case in 6 months. For that use case, those backlogged features can be reused and retested. So let's first start with the solution. This is an end-to-end architecture, a base architecture framework that we would need to build agentic feature engineering. And when I say this is not tied to one particular use case, you would see why. So this is not just tied to McAfee's use case. This is actually a repeatable framework that we could kind of deploy and explore in various domains. But let's first start with what we see in this architecture. I'm going to deep dive and zoom in into specific components slowly. Let's first start with the mission brief, right? The mission brief has, say, for example, how many feature categories you would need, and how many tables do you have, 5 bronze or 3 silver, how many columns do they have. Like, so this is actually the corpus. You feed in all your Confluence documents about the metadata that you have regarding those tables, and data dictionary, whatever dimensions, the context that you need should be fed into this mission brief. And then we move into the discovery agent phase. This is the phase one, this most important phase, where the discovery agent scouts for tables, maps categories to tables, and routes various work to the specialist agents that we need to spin up. And in our case, we have taken 4 specialist agents. And the thing about these specialist agents is that they need to work in parallel. They don't need to work sequentially. The reason is these agents are designed in a way that you might need to focus on one set of tables. These, like for example, let's take a subscription specialist. It's going to mine for subscription related features like time to paid, what acquisition channel the user came through, what's the payment funnel. The device detail specialist, RAM size, the disk, the processor size, the product usage, the message behavior. So all these agents, right, all these features can be grouped to one set of master tables. So you don't need to do multiple scans that we need to hop through multiple tables in a duplicated manner. If you can group these specialist agents based on the core table that they are mining from, then it becomes easy in a uh, parallel processing perspective. Then we move on to the synthesis specialist. So the reason why I call this as synthesis is, once you have parallelly created these specialist tables, you need to combine them, or you need to create interaction terms between them, and this is going to be the core piece of creating the final cut of the feature store draft. Then we'll enter into the phase of validation, where you need a critic to look into the various temporal leakages you could have, various label leakages that you could have. So all this validation checks should happen in the phase 3. And the phase 4 is about performing sample training. We don't have to perform the whole data training, but it's going to be a sample training where you take a 10 to 20% of your training data and you create samples and you train your model and you log those benchmarks. The next is evaluation, where you perform feature importance, you rank those features, and you get to know what features to prune, what features move the needle in terms of the objective function that you are solving for. And last comes the materialization phase, where you materialize these and ship as feature tables. So now, taking a pause, I would like to first move on to the discovery agent, because this is really important in terms of how do you establish this, right? So say that the mission brief has the number of source tables, the uh, the objective function that you need to solve for. In our case, it could be conversion propensity or renewal propensity. And then you have the discovery agent spinning off some simple UC catalog methods. So what you got to check for is exploring the table, you need to profile the columns, you need to check the join quality, you need to query the data to get a sample of this. So this is more like an hypothesis driven framework and not more like a schema driven framework. So whatever that you do in terms of manual exploration can be automated in a way that you expose this to an LLM reasoning standpoint and try to create these join mappings for these tables. So then you get an output as a discovery brief, where it has a table inventory, it has a join map, and then you have like how do you route these tables to the specialist agents. And the discovery agent is the phase where you even decide how many specialist agent you would need for your own use case. And in our case, we could tackle this with 4 different specialist agents that I have already mentioned to you. But to kind of zoom in, you could see we have a subscription agent where that gonna mine for subscription related information, like how the time to paid, the days to pay, the registration type, the click source the user came in, the paid, what type of subscription they are, and all those things. And then in our case, we have a device agent where you could have an unified perspective of what device the users are using. So for example, the RAM size, the CPU size, and the demography from which the device was activated, and all those things. And then the usage agent that shows about how they use McAfee as a product, right? What is the scan count, the threat detection, the feature usage. So we have an daily snapshot tables that we would be pointing this agent to, and it creates an adoption or an engagement journey from that. And then there is a behavioral agent in terms of how users behave to our messages, how users behave to our emails. So that's about whether they are a responder, what could be their like the typical time to take to respond, or they close our messages, or they time out on our messages, and all those things. So I hope everyone has a question now. This could be fitting for McAfee, but how could it could be replicable for your own use case? Say that you are an e-commerce, retail, or any kind of SaaS business, right? So that's the key insight. What I'm going to show you is just patterns, and they are not prescriptions. So the pattern here is the framework that you got to build is the core piece called the specialist agents. So when you build your discovery agent, you need to let add some few short prompting examples in terms of what are the core dimensions that you would like to model your users. So this is not a completely automated, machine automated workflow. This is where your human intelligence goes in, right? So I would say this is where one of the human in the loop component happens. How do you want to describe, or what are the categories that you want to design for your modeling use case? And this is where most of the creativity goes, right? So in our use case, we have subscription, device, behavioral, and all those things. But in an e-commerce use case, you could have user profile, purchase behavior, web session engagement, and all those things. Maybe in a fintech example, you can, when you have tables like accounts, transaction, fraud events, and loans and support tickets, you could have like different specialists that tackles on transaction behavior, their risk and fraud score, their lending and credit default score. So it could be more reproducible when you sit and configure where you are configuring your discovery agent. And discovery agent is where is going to lead you to the category routing, and the category routing will lead you to how many specialists you would need in this framework. So let's move on to how do we deploy it. That there are a bunch of ways to deploy it, right? Like we have an open source way using a Databricks infrastructure. We also have Databricks managed agents infrastructure. So one way we could do that is using agent orchestration, the OpenAI agents SDK. You could use the agent loop features, and we could use the tool calling features where you could even configure Unity catalog methods in these function calls. And moving on to LLM inference, you could use the foundational models that we have in Databricks, or we can also bring our own models. We can select which models we got to use. And the deployment is going to be straightforward. Like we could deploy this as a Databricks apps, and that's how, like, that's the best way to launch it, because there are different ways that you can actually access this this workflow, and I'm going to show you in the next slide. So the full tracing can be done using MLflow for the same agentic feature engineering loop. So the key insight here is that OpenAI agents SDK orchestrate the agents in this, but Databricks provides the infrastructure, enterprise infrastructure for this. Moving on to the next one, there are three ways you could access this feature engine, agent-based feature engineering. One is scheduled pipelines. You can run this in a weekly manner whenever you see a drift, or whenever in a monthly manner, or you could actually trigger this using a self-service portal. You can create a Streamlit UI and try to select which tables you need to mine more for, identify what are the gaps. You can prompt, you can add a prompt to the discovery agent, and you can create more specialists. This is the third way is using an more the chat interface way, like using natural language and trying to generate features, right? So moving on to what we see as a business impact of feature store. So what you see here is the impact. The first you see in the first section is about what our ML models through feature stores have contributed to our use cases, right? It has nothing to do with agent-based feature engineering. It has to do with manual and AI-assisted engineering. That has shown us a great promise in terms of where we started. Over a 5 years waterfall revenue of 54 million, which constitute to 13 million per year. And this is constituting to propensity and pricing models that we have in production. Now think about it. If we had built this in agentic feature engineering, which we are working on now, we could actually save 60% of time and effort reduction by unified orchestration. And the interesting side here is there are new patterns that you could establish and innovate that you don't have the time to do when you're delivering your models, because if the data scientist's job is to manage between innovation and delivery, and I feel this could be a pathway where we could find new patterns to accomplish. So thank you everyone. Please connect if you have any questions, but I hope you get to learn something here. Yeah.